It was once said that when he met me, I seemed like I was dark. He has never been able to articulate what that really looks like, but I saw somebody recently and I looked at them and I said, babe, is that what you saw when you met me? And he was able to agree. And I saw it, and what it was it's a shadow that almost is over you because the circumstances of your life have dictated a story about you that you didn't even recognize you were carrying. Tammy alluded to it that sometimes when we journey, we think these things are our personality. Because I think back then, probably I would have said that, I just like to be by myself and I don't really like people, which is so opposite of who I recognize that I am today. I would say, I don't really like people and, that kind of thing, but that was not my truth. That was a part of my story because of many wounds that I would have experienced. And the wounds come in different packages, but my main one was through the love of my life. The first love was my daddy, right? And I can say that with a smile today because um God has allowed me to heal and God has allowed me to see things for what they really ought to be. But my sweet, sweet father, in his own shortcomings and in his own difficulties, and in his own nurturing and his family line and what him know and experience as a gentleman growing up, he gave I strongly believe today my father did the best that he could. And even though he did that, it was not what I needed as his daughter. And so much aggression came with things that he had to say. A lot of wrong word choices, a lot of wrong decisions. And as a result, in my innocence as a daughter that just wants to be loved and accepted, I experienced a lot of trauma from the effects of where my father probably didn't even know any better. And God had to bring me into a place of understanding that he too had to go through his own shortcomings that he wasn't given, and he had to work that through to give me the best that he could. And so when I became a Christian, one of the first places that the Lord dealt with for me was to forgive my dad. And I thought it was unfair at the time because I thought you were asking me to do something that was unreasonable. Why? I was the child. I was the one that needed everything that I needed. But he had to allow me to recognize that what my father probably needed more than anything else was for somebody to love him back, was for somebody to recognize that he does love me. He does love all of us. And he's doing the best that he can. And if I would dare just love him in return, what that would look like. And when the Lord was able to bring me to that place of healing, and I remember the first time, oh, that's emotional. The first time I hugged my dad after going through that process with the Lord. I remember the first time I hugged my father and told him that I love him. I don't think he said anything. I don't think he knew how to appreciate that. And I just left it. I didn't make a big deal of it. But it wasn't until a little while after that he began to say it too. And so as time progressed, every time I saw him thereafter, I hugged him and said, I love you, Daddy. Hugged him, say, I love you, Daddy. And I remember once, not deliberately, I didn't hug him. And the next time he and I were on the phone, he said, Carol, how come you come by the other day and you never even hug me? And that blew my mind because then I recognized this love that I was pouring out. He's been looking for it from somebody all along. And who was willing to give it when what he gives wasn't the most favorable scenario, you know? And so sometimes God is calling us to be the very answer to the solution of brokenness that we are experiencing. Sometimes we have to be willing to lay our own feelings and our own heart aside so that God can step in and say, hey, this is how I need you to do it. It calls us to, it demands a level of maturity from us that we are not always, we don't always believe that we're capable of giving. But I guarantee you that if you sit before the Lord and you would allow Him to minister what is necessary for your circumstance, that He will give you what you need in order to heal and restore, not only for your own soul, but even to some of those broken places in your family, in your marriage, in your friendship.